Hello crazy coders, welcome to yet another video on our series of beginner Python Tkinter project. Today we will make a simple calculator which will look something like this. It will have two input boxes for two numbers. It will have four buttons which is add, subtract, multiply and divide, and it will have an output area. So now let's try to code this. I've already created a new Python file and named it simplecalc.py, and the first thing is we want to import from Tkinter import all. So after this we'll create a window which will be an object of a tk class, and after that we'll set the title, and title will be calculator. Okay, that's great. And after that we'll set the geometry which will be around 300 into 200. Okay, that looks great. And then we'll enter into main loop. Okay, that looks great. Let's run it. Yes, our window is ready. So now I will add the first label which is for number 1. So I will keep the variable name num1l, and I will use the label widget. First thing it contains is our window. Second thing, let's give it a text like enter first number, right? And I will give font which will be vertical and font size to be 50. That must look great. And now I will just pack it, and in this video we will use the placement method pack, which basically packs it at the top of the window. Okay, now let's run it. So yeah, we have the label ready, which looks good, and let's keep this capital. Now let's create our entry widget for num1. Okay, for this I will use this, and I'll use the entry widget, and first thing I'll pass this, and I will keep the font same as this. So yes, now I will pack this one as well. Okay, that looks good. Let's run it. Yes, it looks good. Now I'll create the same thing for number 2. So I will copy paste it and change the variable names. And yes, everything else I think should be same. Let's save it. Let's run. Yes, we have two entry boxes ready with labels giving the text, enter first number, enter second number. Now we will create our buttons. So for that I will use frame first, because if we'll actually add a button, for example, if we add about 2 buttons, then it will again stack as if in the column. So if we use frame, and then we can actually align it in the horizontal way. So let's create first a frame, which can be done is like I will use frame variable, and you can use a frame widget, and we just have to pass window. That looks good, and we just have to pack it. So now this frame will get packed, but in this frame we can pack many widgets as well. So I will give a pad y 10, which is like horizontal distance between the upper widget, which is an entry widget, and also the frame. Okay, now let's create a button add. Okay, add button. So this will be a button widget. This will take our frame. Now instead of window we'll give it a frame, and we'll give the text as add, and I will just pack. Okay, now let's see. So yes, it's there, but now if I kind of create another button for like subtract, what will happen is, let's see. So now save it and run. It is stacking it horizontally, but we don't want this. So we will give a parameter to the pack which is side, and what we'll do is we'll give it left. So same with this, so that if I add more widgets, more buttons, it will be left as well. Okay, now I will turn. Now let's run it. So as you can see, now they are stacked horizontally because of the frame, and since each widget is back to the left side. So that's great. Now I will again copy paste those buttons 2 more times, because we will use like multiplication, right? So our buttons are ready. Now let's run it. So yeah, every button is ready. but now let's add some spacing between them. So for that I will use like pad X or pad X, and I will keep it like 5. Let's see how this looks. It looks good. Oh, let's give it 10. How does that look? So yeah, it's actually looks good. Let's try it with every widget, every button. Let's save it. Yeah, it looks good. So now let's move ahead. Let's create a label for the result. So for that we will use res L for label, and we'll pass this time window since our horizontal stacking is done. So now this I will pass window, and text will be nothing more than result. Great, that's great. And font will be same. I will use the same font. Now let's pack it. So run it. Yes, that's also there. And now let's create one more label to display our output. Which is as output, and I will keep result empty. I don't want any text, but what I want is I want BG background color to be white. Let's save it. Let's run. Okay, it's not visible yet. So what I do is I will increase this geometry. Now let's save it. Yes, it is there, but it is very small. So let's increase the width. Okay, and we can increase the width by width. We'll keep the width 30, I think. Okay, it looks very large. How does this look? Yes, it looks good. What if I give a relief of sunken again, which we used in the previous video? Do check out. So yeah, this looks like a good result box. Now let's actually add functionalities to our button. So first I will create a function which actually works for all. So I will create a function named cal, which will take a parameter option selected, and what it will do is it will check if option is equal to plus, then what it will do is add just numbers. So what numbers? It will add num1 and num2, which are stored in entry widgets. So we know already how to take numbers from our entry widgets, which is like num1 will be float, but it is in the num1e dot get. That's how we do it. And similarly num2 will be float again, but this is stored in num2 entry, and we can get this as get function. Now that looks great. Let's go move ahead. So if the option is plus, then what we'll do, we just add, but after adding, where we'll store? So first of all we'll add, so num1 plus num2, and after adding, what we'll do is we'll just store it in our label, which is result output, and we know how to change the contents of the label. So for that we'll use text is equal to str res. Yeah, that looks great. Now if option is different, which is elif option is equal to say minus, then what we'll do, we'll just subtract it, right? We'll just copy paste it so that we don't have to write it. We just subtract, and again if we have to multiply, which is multiply, if multiply is selected, then like we'll do if option is equal to multiply, we multiply. Else if no else, there is only one condition left, so res is equal to num1 dev num2. Cool. So that's we are done. Now to make it available for our button, we have to provide our button this function. So for like add button, we have to provide command. And now since we have to pass a parameter to this function, we'll use syntax which is lambda cal, and in cal will provide plus. So for plus it will be this, for add it will be this, for subtract it will be minus, for this it will be this, not here, and for division it will be division sign. So this looks great. Now let's try to run this. So first I will enter 2, I will enter 1, and I will add. So it is saying 3, that's great. If I subtract, it is 1. If I multiply, it is 2. If I divide, the result does not change. So for example, if I divide 2 by 2, then the result changes. Yes, so every button is working perfectly and we are done with the program. So you can add more complexity to this project, which is adding a clear button, adding try expect block. Since the input is from user might enter wrong things which are not good for calculation, then you should display invalid calculation or whatever you want. So make it yours, play with it. So that was it from this video. We'll hope you will catch you up in the next video.